thought you were going to say something. You want to speak about?
I have done the introduction.
All right.
So it will be nice to hear it from you.
All right. So firstly, thank you so much for hosting the CTD family and taking this risk of having me online. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for showing up. Facilitation and coaching are two big accidents in my life. But coming April, I'll be finishing 12 years of that life. Before that, I've spent around 14 years into corporate world, mainly into IT, but project management consulting, both India and abroad. So I'm 25, 26 years in this field. It's been a phenomenal journey. I think the last patch with Rajat and family to do the ACC and on the way to PCC, it has been an amazing journey. I personally have experienced a big shift in the way I do facilitation. So thanks Rajat again for those wonderful sessions at the time. Arvind, I'm not sure whether you can listen. I'm getting some echo at the back end. Is it at my end or we need to mute some cameras?
I think there are a few videos which might be. I do see everything is on mute. Any other?
Neelu, can you go on mute? And Amitabha, can you go on mute, please?
And Ruchi says, can she hear me?
You're audible. Neelu, can you go on mute?
Yeah.
That was you, Neelu.
Okay, and so I'm going to share a presentation, but now that would mean I won't see anybody's faces, right? Okay, before I show presentation, I just want to show up and how many of us are practicing facilitators. So one.
Do we have to be certified facilitators or
No,
practice?
meaning you conduct sessions. You stand in front of audience and say something. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 of us. Okay, thank you so much. And remaining people are on hiding, so I'm just assuming.
Murli also
Murli has raised his hand.
Okay.
So 7, that is.
7. Okay, good, good. Another thing before I show the presentation, it's a conversation. I just cannot do a monologue for a while. So if you're okay, while there is a slideshow, feel free to interrupt starting now till the time Arvind really asks us to stop this session. So while I have some slide deck, feel free to barge in. Also, I'm calling this session as CTT Man Ki Baat. So it's my story. It is not scientifically validated. If you don't like any data, yeah, you're right. It is just Vivek's Man Ki Baat. And I also call this is a live streaming from United States of Varje. It's a small suburb in Pune. Yeah. So welcome aboard. And here I go and do the sharing. Okay, share. And let me know if you could see my screen.
Yes, we can see.
So Arvind, can you see the slideshow?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you go to presentation?
Yeah, it is in presentation.
Yeah. Now it is. Thanks.
Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Super. Okay. So while Arvind has shared the formal agenda, with your permission, I'm going to take a small detour. It is really what is that I have picked up from coaching and how it has impacted facilitation. I thought that's what I would like to share the larger CTD family. And I think there is a big impact on the way I do facilitation. I think that's what this few slides are going to talk about. As I said again, feel free to barge in. Arvind, if you could see that message window, since I'm not able to see it, and if anybody asks the question, just let me know. And
sure.
Right.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So going in the technical meaning, if you go Google and look for the word facilitate, what it is, so it really says make something easier. The root is Latin facilis. Yeah. That's the deeper meaning to make something easy. Yeah, the deep meaning of facilitation. So one example, schools were located in the same campus to facilitate the sharing of resources. So my personal history of starting this journey is actually from training. in the formal corporate world. But back during my engineering days, I used to go in slum and used to teach. And then I used to teach at ICFAI, IT for Managers. I used to take some private classes for engineering drawing. And during my corporate stint, somebody says, why don't you become a trainer? And then I said, okay, what's the difference between teaching, training, and facilitation? So while this slide talks about teaching and facilitation, training is somewhere in between. So on the left-hand side is the teaching that says one directional dissemination of knowledge through a teacher. And on the right-hand side, the facilitation, accompanying and shaping a learning process together. One big difference is really, who has the power. I see these two diagrams. Right? In teacher, yes, teacher has the power, and it's one directional. Rarely a teacher would ask you when you're in a kindergarten, what is that you would like to learn? It's scripted, right? A for apple, B for boy. It is not A for auntie and B for bubbly. It's always been A for apple and B for boy. Facilitation, while that diagram really talks about accompanying and shaping the learning process together, if you study the competencies, typically this IF competencies, if you see, and if you analyze this diagram, the size of the circle, and if you compare the ICF and IF competencies, the facilitator still has the power. So while the process might say, it's like shaping learning process together. That's what we also share in our train the training program. And training is somewhere in between. It's kind of like camouflage of, I'm giving power to you, but a trainer still holds the power, right? For example, a communication skill training. A trainer might say, I'm kind of like working with you to design a curriculum, but at times there are like off the shelf, and there are companies who deliver off the shelf program very well. It's quite scripted, and they deliver what they think is right. Very rarely they ask participants and customers. So I just want to say this preamble before I go and share my. Starting now, I have around 10 to 11 slides wherein I'm sharing my learning, my journey. And it's a summary of my around 12 years of what movement I've in. And parallelly, I'll also share my kind of like what influence coaching has had on the way I do my work. I would leave to the audience to kind of like make connection to ICF competency. I'm not going to name a particular ICF competency which plays, but I think it's a very self-explanatory. You will be able to make it out from there which competency I'm talking. All right, so fun begins. So this is the, if you see the shadow, every trainer really starts with one, right? Saying, I am the one. And if you see the industry, the training industry or the facilitation industry, they say it's a very low barrier industry. People still believe, whoever has a great communication skill, and if you go on a slide share and download a few slides, and you are in front of audience and you speak and play some games and show some movies, and people say, man, sir, you are the one. And I think I started my journey like that. One of my hobbies, magic. I come from a theater background, and you can just imagine what kind of entertainment it was, right? And so it's like that inflated ego, right? To an extent of people coming and touching the field and inflating the ego. And while I slowly progressed and started calling myself a facilitator, I think that ego played back in the mind, saying, I am the one. I'm changing people's lives. I'm kind of like showing them what they can't see. I'm changing companies' profit. They are calling me again. They are calling me by name. And that story is playing again and again and again and again. I think as I started moving on coaching journey, while it started back in 2011, that's when I attended first course. But when I attended CTT with Rajat, and I think that ego balloon started bursting a bit. And while it was very uncomfortable in the beginning to accept I am not the one, it is something else. And during facilitating a lot of programs and typically during coaching, when I started getting stuck and did not know what to do. In one of the coaching assignment, I think we had to pull the plug. And including in personal life, I had my own roadblocks. And I started asking myself, hey, if you are the one, why don't you solve this? And that's what the moment of the truth. Uh, then I said, hey, I'm not the one. There are some cases where you would not know the answer. There are some customers whom with I'm working where I don't know the answer. And this one big notion of I'm the one who's driving the show started diminishing. And, and it just kind of like gave rise to this curiosity saying, is there something else which I don't know? Do I need to see that? Do I need to deflate this ego? And during a couple of mentoring sessions with Rajat also, I found out, is there something else I need to do rather than having this ego inflated? Do I need to overcome this ego barrier of participants clapping and giving you standing ovation in the facilitation? Are you becoming a performing artist? Is that your prime role? And so many things of that. And I started detaching myself consciously from these external things, people clapping, standing ovation, all those greeting cards, thank you notes, and slowly becoming more calm and quiet and saying, who are you? And what is that you can do? And what is that you cannot do? Yeah. So I think that this particular moment of ego shattering was very difficult. At times today as well, I fall in the trap of that. Of when customer calls you, "Arey aaja, tera hi din hai," and like as Rajat said, big speaker, blah blah blah. But I'm at least consciously aware, saying at times this ego comes in between of what is the possibility that you and me can do. So I think this has been my biggest learning after going through coaching and a couple of mentoring sessions with Rajat. And I think once I let it go, things start flowing. That's what I've experienced. But I have to make a very conscious attempt to let this demon go, saying, I'm the one. Very consciously. I think this has been one of my biggest learning of coaching session. Yeah, just be there. Next one has been since I started my journey from training. I did not know initially what facilitation is all about. And again, coming from a corporate background, high performance levels, result orientation, this feeling of I know it all. You listen to customer and then you kind of like create the script. Then you tell them what is right for them. You decide. You go to customer before they are done. You tell them, you do this, you do this, you do this. So Vivek Yatnalkar has an agenda, and I go there and I perform, right? And slowly I started realizing every time whatever I am scripted for them, it's not working for them. And again, that was the cause. The first slide was the cause of it. And as I started moving towards coaching and a lot of conversations and again confrontation, another myth which I need to consciously kind of like pull it down was, why, whose agenda are you driving? And while in facilitations, and I personally do a lot of train the trainers, and I would talk of TNA, trainings, analysis, etc., etc. I started asking myself, are you truly driving their agenda? Or you have your agenda which you are pushing on them. And after going through the coaching certification, I really started asking myself before I stand on the stage and facilitate, have you understood what do they want? And are you driving their agenda? An important question, are you allowing to drive their agenda? Or you are pushing your truth in between? I think that was another moment. And next couple of slides, I'm going to talk about it. For example, there were some cases where I did not know their agenda. In a couple of cases, we created agenda on the fly. And I know in the theory, when I do train the trainer, I do tell people, hey, you know what, this is what you need to do. But doing that is in practice was very difficult. I think I needed to keep my ego aside, be there in the moment, really get their agenda, and then drive it. And at times, really going in the zone of unknown, saying what does actually customer want, and actually taking one step with belief, saying, I think they are the one and they know it, what is right for them. That particular moment was slightly different for me in facilitation. I rarely had done program wherein I did not know which territory I'm walking. I think coaching gave me that confidence, saying it's okay to walk in a territory wherein you have very little or at times zero expertise. Typically, when I coach senior level or when I'm facilitating program for senior management, typical strategy, diversification, strategic thinking, I've experienced those moments wherein there's a butterfly in the stomach, wherein I'm venturing into territory where I don't know where are we going. But thankfully, we didn't have any accidental moments. We could sail through. This was another big shift in the way I am being on the stage during facilitating program for top management. Another big shift, yeah, linked to the ego one. And again, this came big one from Rajat. Who has the monkey? And I've created this monkey scale. Like in teaching, the teacher carries the monkey. In the trainer, they are like doing the give and take of the monkey. And the facilitator, he attempts to give the monkey to the audience, but if you go to the competencies of IF, what I was going through is, at least I had a monkey tail in my hand. Unlike coaching, I learned an experience and found benefit of actually handing over the monkey to them and fully not taking ownership. And it's a classic, I'm about to use the word trap or compulsion when you're going to customer and they pretty much ask you, what is that I'm going to get and where is the ROI? And then I would say, yeah, you will get the ROI. And maybe at times I still say that. Except I kind of like modify my script and at least I have a co-ownership of this monkey. The big thing which I started doing in my session is I ensure the monkey is with them during the session. It's not like I'm running around from monkey, but I ensure they know it's their monkey and they are taking care of that monkey. Consciously, if they are using me as a consultant at time, I might give a few inputs on that, but I subtly refuse to take ownership of their monkey. Connecting back to the earlier side, when they are deciding their own agenda, I really ask them to script their own monkey. And I have seen this to be very powerful. I think there is a heightened awareness in the room, and we are moving away from Vivek performing in the room versus audience taking care of their monkey. I am virtually absent in the room. I'm not controlling the room. Periodically, I'm raising awareness levels in the room saying, can people see the monkey? Is the monkey becoming gorilla? Or is monkey well fed? And those variety of questions which are coming in the room. But I think that's another big learning. With this, I think there has been a lot of ease in which I facilitate my session. When I used to have this monkey on my shoulder, unknowingly I had, I think, 3-4 monkeys on my shoulder, taking care of participants, taking care of CEO, taking care of HR, taking care of my performance and the credibility and the feedback form. But the moment I have said it's yours, I think suddenly I'm more relaxed. I'm more myself. I'm more silent. I'm more creative. I think I come out with more possibilities. It is amazing to do session without monkeys. I'll tell you one more thing. So recently I had a small accident. If you could see, I have a small race. My preference of doing sessions is I'm very kinesthetic in my approach, right? So I get a lot of games and experiential learning. So I always have a bag with me. But with this thing, it's challenging to carry my game bag with me, right? So I asked myself, Vivek, can you do the same program without carrying any stuff? And I said, let's try it out. So being last couple of weeks, I'm doing programs without any prop. It's still kind of static, but ownership is to the audience. So I asked them, hey, I want to do this. What do you think we can do? Last year, I had some issues with my throat. It was challenging for me to speak. And so one of my other mentors said, Vivek, how would your session look like if you were to not speak? And I tried in a couple of sessions when there was minimal speaking, and it was an amazing session. So I'm experiencing a lot of other monkeys which I feel I have on my back. Monkey of agenda, monkey of conducting activities, monkey of speaking, monkey of performance, and I'm just letting it go. And it's quite amazing just doing without monkeys. Aha, this is one of my favorite, right? uh, this is coming from ego phase of Project Fix It. Uh, Arvind, can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes,
can
yes.
hear.
So there's a message on my side, there's unstable connection. Okay. Initially, I had this thing in mind saying if company is calling me, meaning there got to be some problem. And while I tune myself, they are whole, they are this, they are that, but the whole transaction analysis, that education wise, I have this gold medal and then IIT, and you you have some ego with you, and when you stand, I am the one, 10,000 hours and ACC and this and that, and you look at audience saying, "Hey, I'm here now. All your problems are gone." Right? But it used to show in the way I would carry myself on the stage, how humble and humility you bring on the stage. Somewhere that jnana would come. After coaching of, you are complete, you are whole, and you're creative. And if you have the problem, you have to have a solution. I was slightly hesitant to apply that in a workshop. Uh, but I said, let's give it a try. And saying, whatever workshop I do often, it could be collaboration, emotional intelligence, top management team building. I asked myself, can you start with an assumption saying everything is okay, everything is there, except collectively you have to discover. And drop this hammer what you got of fixing people and see what happens. One of my mentors shared the term called creating a safe space there, and what we call trust and intimacy in facilitation. And I started devoting a lot of time in the beginning on creating this safe space and creating. And I telling myself, Vivek, you know what? Those guys know it all. Yeah, they don't require you. You have to uncover it. And amazing things started happening. The spectrum of work I do is from the junior people to the senior most. And all workshops, I started walking in with that assumption, saying they don't have any problem. They actually don't need you. But you just do, and then if something is hiding in the room, you just go and kind of like discover that and see how much you can trust them. And what I've started experiencing is people seem to be enjoying that place. So I changed the seating layout. It's more comfortable. It's more of a conversational rather than, that Baba Vivek coming and giving discourse. I think this has changed a lot in the way I converse. This is what we just talked about, right? The ICF definition of unfolding their potential and their creative. This has started consciously applying, during the workshop, if I'm explaining a concept and they ask a question, and might be initially I would say, I'm a subject matter expert, but I've started using examples from personal life. I often do that. Most of my workshops, I use a lot of personal examples. But I've started studying the customer more, and can I connect to their life and just prove it a point saying they know it. I think that that belief of they have it, and if I'm able to create that confidence in them, I think that creates a lot of energy in the room. That's a lot of wow. And if I could do that in like first couple of sessions, and if it's a 2-day workshop, it's amazing the kind of energy which comes in the room. And I think there is little I'm doing as a facilitator. I think they themselves come out and contribute to the session. I personally had a lot of difficulty coming to this place. Specifically, I have this difficulty with people whom I know. I tend to have biases with people, but I'm working on this. I tell myself, Vivek, if it is work in pockets, what can you do to do this in most of the cases? But I'm enjoying this piece of uh, going with the belief, saying they know it and they have it. It just bring it out, yeah, and bring it out being at their equal level. It's not like I'm on a pedestal and I'm kind of like I have the power of bringing it out. It's amazing. It's amazing to do that. With my persona, though I might be physically silent, like I just shared, I had a voice problem. But I used to be speaking internally, right? There's a big change, and I've got a lot of good feedback. Might be thanks to my voice and thanks to the coaching session. I'm more quiet now, both inside and outside. And one of the other things was during coaching session, Rajat once challenged, saying, "Can you do coaching without making notes?" And yeah, I actually made a joke of it and saying it's impossible. And he said, "What will happen? Try it out." And actually, and these days, Rajat, I don't know whether you're happy to know that I don't use notebook. Right? So I've stopped. There is no pen, no pad, and actually, coaches ask, "So Vivek, don't you want to take any notes?" I said, "No, no notes." And I, I'm very comfortable sitting silent. I'm very comfortable being myself. Uh, I think my ability to listen to customer, listen to participant, my ability to take pause during facilitative sessions in real life, it has enhanced. And the same customer, I meet them again after 3 months and 6 months, and they do come back and say, with the workshop we attended then and workshop I'm attending now, there is a difference. And I think I also enjoy these moments of silence. Initially, I used to be very uncomfortable. Like I used to hold myself back, if I'm not allowed to talk for a while. But now I'm fine. This ability to be silent has given me lot many benefits. It has given me ability to. Yeah. Sorry. Is there a question, Arvind?
No, somebody was unmuted.
Okay. Okay. So we can continue, right?
Go ahead, Vivek. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks. Starting with typical facilitation or training field, the first thing is like listening to customer, right? The field we are in, every month I'm into like minimum 4 workshops and 8 days facilitation. So virtually you are talking to 4 CEOs, in a month, and this ability to be just silent and reflective, it gives you tremendous possibility of asking the question, saying, "What's happening here?" And another question, Rajat, what else? And suddenly this crazy information comes out, and the CEO or a CHRO, when they're telling you the script, they themselves are telling you so many things. And when I look back at my initial days, I think I used to stop the moment I get sufficient information so that I'm able to do design and I'm ready for that workshop or delivery. Saying, "Yeah, Vivek, you got it, move, deliver. I'm more like do, right? The classic MBTI J. But I think with this silence, the ability of just being there, taking a pause, and again asking, "Okay, by the way, what else?" And getting it more and getting more. And I think you just reach to that fine thread, which is the crux. And that CEO and CHRO saying, maybe that's the issue. Maybe that's where we are. And again, that continues during design. I'm looking at my design dispassionately. During facilitation, when we are having a conversation, I think I experience a lot of silent moments. I show a movie, and there's a silence, and I'm asking people, how is it happening? So there is no urge of moving fast, closing the session, finishing the agenda. I think there's a lot of tehra, if you know this. And I'm borrowing this word from Hindustani classical. And I think you see that magic, that if I use that, the killer, that knife is going inside in that butter and it's just moving the whole stuff and just coming out and doing the stuff. Rather than earlier, it will just go out and come. I think that it's very nice, slow, and that tandoor is happening in the room. That power of silence, that whole juice is coming out in the room, and I get a feel, participants are finding it. There are good moments of reflection. There are good insights that I think learning is getting cemented, and the overall power, the overall reflection, overall magic of whatever happens in the room comes alive. It's a wonderful moment, and uh, people just seem to be enjoying this 3 seconds extra silence in the room. I'm just having great fun with this silence. It's very powerful. It's very powerful. Again, connected to the first slide, right? Going with the ego. That's again one big shift from moving from I know it all to asking curious questions. The prior stage was finish the DNA, the training needs analysis, right? So we have a script of asking 21 questions, 21 questions done, answer got, make the design, execute the design. Since I'm running from one workshop to the second workshop to the third workshop, and family time and gym time, and now I'm just slightly taking a deviation. When I sit in front of customer, while I have listed this scripted 21, I take a pause and kind of like deviate and ask this curious question. So recently, I along with my kids, we go to a small hill, right, climbing, and just to avoid the knee pain, I'm carrying a stick with me, right? And out of those 50, 100 people, we go on a mountain. I'm the only one who's carrying the stick. And what I observe is people just look at me very curiously. Why is this seemingly young man carrying the stick? A couple of days ago, I just found one boy asking me, "Hey, uncle, why are you carrying the stick?" Yeah, and I said, "We just to avoid injury and etc. etc." And that inspired this picture. I think that those kids have this curiosity, and less fear of knowing something. And I'm using a lot of these during facilitation. Typically challenging the leaders. Fair enough. If you're doing this for so many years, why are you doing this? What could be the other ways of doing this? Oh, we are making losses. Okay, then what would happen if you continue to make losses? Oh, we are not working. Oh, we are working in silos. Okay, what will happen if you continue to work in silos? It's not inquiry. It's not interrogation. It's not kind of like going deeper. It is just curious questions. And what I found out is so much information which comes out of the table, just being curious. And I tell myself, every time I ask this question, I ask myself, Vivek, are you being curious here? Or you have an agenda behind this? And if I've created a safe space, people receive my questions as curious questions. And there's wealth of information on the table, and audience, they do magic with that. And I've seen if this information is there on the table, they themselves ask the question and they themselves see the answer in the room. And there's a very little I need to do as a facilitator in the room. That's phenomenal ability of asking curious questions. And people don't feel threatened. They're very comfortable in sharing. They are very comfortable in sharing personal moments. They are very open in sharing their internal secrets, and the environment in the room is magical. It's amazing, and people are very close to where they want to go. It's just our ability to be in the silent, be in the moment, and asking those curious questions. Yeah. Again, linked to what we are doing, but this one question at a time, right? Initially, if I show you my initial design, it used to be a script, right? 9:30 to 10:30, I'll do this, line by line. I'll move my left hand, then right hand, then this story, then this movie, then that agenda, and I need to just go dot, 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 dot. I still do that. I still make a design. But after coaching and being silent in the room and being observing what's happening in the room, I have learned to not to create a script. I'm asking myself, Vivek, are you comfortable just thinking of one question at a time and being open to ask another question which is not in your script? What that has done to me is that has forced me to listen. Otherwise, if I do an activity, if I show a movie, I would have those three prescripted questions. And if things don't happen the way I imagine, then I'm like at loss. But since I force myself to ask one question at a time, I'm present in the room to an extent of 100%. And I think audience is looking at that. And with whatever is happening and the ability to asking those curious questions, I think, and monkeys on their back, they are guiding the whole agenda to wherever they want to go rather than the script I have created. And most of the time, I found out that's where they wanted to go. I just ensure, and I'm not forcing, yeah, why my initial customer brief would be different and where the room is going is slightly different. I ask them curious questions saying, guys, are you on the right track? And if they say, yeah, we are on the right track, I just explain, ask them, can you tell me two things which is telling you you're on the right track? And that validation piece I'm doing not with my scale, but I'm doing with their scale. And again, it's amazing to ask that one question at a time. The whole burden of creating a script is gone. It's just one question at a time, period. And there's a couple more which I'll share, a couple of fears which I had to overcome when I did that. Listening to understand, right? So Vivek the magician, Vivek the performer, Vivek the ego, Vivek the one who's giving the ROI to customer. In that heat, there is not listening, right? It just facilitate, ask them some questions, move on, timeline, etc., etc. Now, with this new ability of one question, it is forcing me to be right there and just understanding their pain, what is that they want to say. And with the safe space, this is, I think, one more critical element where I'm listening to them and they feel, yeah, something is happening in the room when this guy is listening, understanding the other side. Yeah. I think part of this I have covered earlier, so I'll just skip this quickly. If you see the slide, this gym and there's some competition happening of how many push-ups you can do, and there are a couple of bystanders and a couple of people giving up, and etc. etc. My initial days, with my psychometric background and experience in corporate and my own biases, which I will walk the room with. Another big learning with coaching, saying they are creative, they are whole. The way I see the audience is very different these days. Earlier, I used to box people. Good participant, bad participant. This guy will create energy. Iska kuch nahi hone wala. Isko kyun bheja hai? Is he really a vice president? Blah blah blah. I'm pushing myself to see, can I see everybody as having a potential? Can I see there is a reason somebody is quiet? Can I see why somebody is disengaged? Can I find a reason why people are the way they are? And I stop bucketing them. And anything happening in the room, I'm absolutely okay. Since anyway, monkeys on their shoulder. So this is another big burden which I've just thrown out. If people are there, they are there. If they are not there, they are not there. Anyways, they're monkey. Otherwise, in initial days, I used to do this a lot. And that was like a big burden on my back during facility. Ensuring that the shepherd carrying all sheep, and that's one of the facilitative competency. They do that. And I'm just applying that from coaching as I just clarify, it's your monkey, you drive the show. It's not Vivek who's going to drive the show. Yeah. Vulnerability is our most accurate measurement of courage. After coaching, I got the courage to say, sorry, I don't know. Earlier, Vivek would never ever do that, right? I would go, I would research, I would have some answer since the idea was I'm the one. Yeah, I'm the one, I'm standing on the pedestal, they have hired me, they are paying me so much money, etc. That script running. And now I'm fine. I've come to the stage saying, okay, I don't know. And let's find out that as a group as to where we want to go and what we want to do. And I'm very comfortable saying that. Very comfortable. I've seen typically in the senior management workshop, they appreciate that. They are okay me saying that, and they are okay to have a group process wherein we together find the answer. Except I'm very cautious and accepting workshops. If this is coming too much, then in facilitative field, I don't take those workshops. Yeah, once in a while it's okay. But I'm moving away from the script of saying I'm the one. Yeah, so I'm okay standing there comfortably saying I don't know the answer for this, and we'll get back. Earlier in facilitation, I would want things to be, after this needs to happen, after this needs to happen. This movie, people should cry. This game, people should fall here, blah, blah. After coaching, I'm fine if I reach an unexpected outcome. Yeah, I'm absolutely okay with that. Since a couple of guidelines, they have the monkey, they have the process. I'm just facilitating. I'm checking with them every milestone. Are we on the right path? And which they are confirming, yeah, Vivek, we are on the right path. So in my mind, I'm absolutely calm and quiet if people reach a place which they did not expect. But my experience has been is they enjoy that new place and they call it discovery. And we closed the workshop saying, hey, we wanted to be here, but today we are not here. But we all took due care to reach wherever we are. How are you finding this place? And most of the time I get an answer saying, yeah, I think maybe that's the good place we are into. And maybe we have discovered it. We own this monkey. We will nurture this monkey. And we close the session saying, how do we take care of this baby monkey? And we did not expect this to happen in the beginning, but now we got it. I personally am okay with that. And I think that's one big change which has happened at the culture. Whatever I'm doing, just to summarize towards the end, with whatever things, big changes I've done, this is how my audience and customers are at the end of the session. So while I'm saying no, I'm showing my vulnerability, I'm being silent, I'm asking one question at a time, my ego is deflated, process is different, I'm listening more. This is the environment in the room of joy, of delight, of amazement. And at my end, I'm experiencing a lot of peace. The earlier performer Vivek is gone home. And I look at my old notes and old thank you notes and greeting card and I laugh at it. I just keep it just to remind me of my old days. But customers are happy. People are happy and there's a small positive change in their life. I think that gives a tremendous joy. While it gives joy every time I say thank you so much and bye-bye to people, there is a feeling of more responsibility of whatever we are doing since we are playing with live people, lives. So I think I've become more careful in whatever I do and creating that craft. And next workshop, I'm more careful, more silent, more vigilant on saying what kind of questions I'm asking, how am I designing, so that I can create this wow experience and do more magic in the world. Thank you so much. So, Arvind, if you have time, we can take questions and I can stop sharing.
That was excellent, Vivek. Thank you. Thanks for sharing all of that.
Oh, thank you so much.
I went through a journey within my head while you went through each of them.
Wow.
Right. Guys, any questions? Any thoughts?
I think Sushanta has.
Yeah, Sushanta.
Yeah, so the one thought that I had, my mind was about the dilemma between for a facilitator between current assignment to future assignments, right? The expectations that the client has in terms of reaching somewhere, which will determine whether they are making progress in the right direction, things like that, right? The difference between coaching and facilitating in terms of expectation setting. um, for the current program and the future programs. How did you experience that as being similar?
So I'm just going to ensure I understood your question, Sushanto. By the way, is that correct pronunciation, Sushanto? Or is
Sushanta.
Sushant, okay. So when you say how was expectation setting for the programs I facilitated earlier and now?
No, from being a coach versus being a facilitator, the expectations that the facilitator has that if I do a program well now, I'll have repeat sessions, right, with the customer.
Yeah.
As a coach, you're not looking at that. You're not looking at being sought after again and again. It could be that case anyway. How does that shift happen? In your case, have you seen that work through using the principles of coaching?
So I'm just going to paraphrase. So what I'm getting from you is if there's a repeat program, how do I clarify the expectation from customer in wearing coach's hat? Did I get it right?
Okay, let me try and put it in another way. As a facilitator, I'm trying to kind of ensure that I get the customer call me back for future sessions.
Yes.
Workshops and things like that.
Yes.
As a coach, I really don't want to set that as my agenda.
Why?
That's not, if I am approaching it as my agenda to have the customer call me back for future sessions, then, I have an agenda in that particular session that I'm having now.
But if you have done one good coaching session with one client, he might call you for client two. So it's all about being good.
Yeah. No, so I am talking about the shift. You spoke about a journey that helped you use the principles of some of the principles of coaching in your facilitated
Sure. Okay.
space, right?
So
you're managing that aspect.
Sure. Yeah. So I think one DNA I have in might be earlier thought of this thought is really excellence delivery. I think customer centric excellent delivery. So might be whatever style I followed earlier, I ensured customer is delighted all the time, whether I do facilitation or coaching. So one of the things which I have experienced for last 12 years is repeat order. And thanks to the firm I work with and the Karma and my mentors, I have done very few assignments, but I have done them in repeats. That has been my, I don't know, you can call it Karma or the mentors or the association I work with. That is what I've been having. So excellence is hallmark, right? That's one. What has changed is whenever I'm talking to customer, the kind of probing I do is slightly different. So earlier, if the customer tells me, Vivek, that's a team, they have a problem, they don't gel well with, we want them to work together, I'll do some probing and I'll stop. I think now I'm going slightly deeper and I'm asking questions like, okay, what else? What else could be happening? This happens during training needs analysis and during session as well. And while I listen to the stakeholder to gather requirements, I also talk to participants also during TNA. So my line of questioning is slightly different. What else could be happening? And I'm also analyzing, is it a training issue? Is it a coaching issue? Or on a lighter note, is it a mother-in-law issue? So, and I think amazing details come up. I shared this in one of the sessions. I was doing emotional intelligence session in Bombay, and one of the guy recently married. His wife ran away after 8 months in marriage, and father-in-law had a court suit on him. And in 15 minutes in the session, he started denying everything what was happening. So I said something. He will say, "No, Vivek, I don't agree. So this happened. I don't agree." And during inquiry and asking questions, then first tea break, he said, "Vivek, that's the life I'm going through." Now, whatever training session I do, the trauma he's going through, I really can't solve it. The earlier facilitator will try to push the emotional intelligence on his head. But the more inquiry has given me the ability to kind of like go beyond what I earlier was not able to find out. But I think my ability to find out more, and I'm not saying that's sufficient or I have reached there, but I do see a difference of what I can find out.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that help?
Yeah, definitely pointers in that direction. Thank you.
Aparna writes, can relate to Vivek's journey, although I'm yet to reach that nirvana stage. I'm now looking forward to it.
Blessing. Beta tera bhala ho.
Okay.
Vivek Murli is not a question. It's more like a thought and feedback types. Thank you for sharing your experience.
Pleasure.
And one thing I think that I'm going to take away from is the monkey element from the whole thing, right? I mean, most of us end up in getting too attached to an issue or too attached to someone who has come to you with a problem or to attach to a work that you're undertaking, right? Even in the corporate world, because I've been there for about 25 years now. So like you said, I am the one kind of attitude, and the moment you walk into it, you start taking care of the monkey. So that's something really kind of has stuck on to me from the entire conversation. So I will try my level best to ensure that I always keep the monkey off my back, and whenever you do any coaching sessions and facilitation.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay,
Ajay asked, monkey of the back. Has it been easy to manage that as a facilitator or as a coach?
As a coach, since it's written in the contract, very easy. As a facilitator, slightly tricky. But Ajay, I can share. I think I'm more courageous to confront customer when they demand something. Typically, most of the customer they ask for the ROI. I think my ability to tell them what's possible, what not possible is heightened, and I think they seem to be agreeing to that. And coincidentally, now after 12 years, I get to talk to CHROs and CEOs of the company. They understand more. In my initial days, I used to work with like the L&D managers and the junior L&D officer. It was slightly tricky, but I think these days I find a lot of CHROs have gone through the coaching workshop, so they understand what's possible, not possible, the monkey concept. I know it's difficult. ROI, there has to be some measure, some commitment, but I think I got courage to at least say what's possible, not possible.
So we are hearing, thankfully for you, Vivek, some good things about the session. Great session, Vivek. Very powerful and candid insights. Insightful session. Thanks, Vivek. So at least you have a couple of admirers in this.
I'm hoping you also write something at the beginning.
They're meeting tomorrow, right?
So yeah, tomorrow evening.
Yeah. So okay. Thank you so much, Vivek.
Oh, pleasure.
For doing this. This is something that we want to happen more often in terms of helping each other learn. So thank you for agreeing to do this, and we'll get you for another session. Hopefully, some interesting topics. So we are gathering topics as of now from people. Okay. While people are writing it. So I just want a couple of minutes with you guys in terms of, so Arvind had shared an email, sometime back, 10 days, I think 10, 11 days back, with the entire internal CTT group about creating a structure for sharing. So I know there are a lot of things happening across the world that you believe that, will be useful to the rest of us. And instead that information and share it every month. with the rest of the group. So is it possible for people to come on video now, since the session is over? Whoever can come on video, can you guys come over? At least I can get to see faces. Thank you.
Rajat, at least I lost you for a moment. I don't know whether others did.
Okay.
Yes,
Last part, if you
we
could.
can hear his last sentence.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for coming on video, guys. Good to see you, all of you. Hey, Ranjit, seeing you first time. Murali, finally.
Sorry, Rajat, half asleep. So it's...
I know it's late for you there. Okay, so what we want to do is, if you have thoughts, if you have ideas on people who are great presenters, if you have conferences coming up, you are presenting somewhere, or it just feels that this conference might add a lot of value, or this book might add a lot of value to each other, any thoughts that can help each other, we would like to hear from you. But we would like to avoid it going over WhatsApp groups as a forward from somewhere else, right? So like, I know APAC conference is happening in August in Mumbai. A lot of you would want to know what is APAC conference. We would like to share that information, but not as a poster going everywhere on WhatsApp groups, right? There are a lot of people who do not like their privacy to be invaded. They like the WhatsApp group to be utilized with some efficiency. So we are basically telling you, send it across. It could be a forward as a WhatsApp to us. It could be an email forward to us, to me, Arvind, or Aishwarya. We will start collating that data and create a small, PDF and send it across to the entire, group, right? And that is much easier and much safer and, much structured as a process. And everybody gets to hear what is happening in the world then, right? So if you can help us, we have also asked them the question saying, what topics would you want to learn in this year around coaching, around this whole concept of coaching or leadership or anything around that? So may I request you to read that email? If you're not got the email, reach out to us. We'll resend the email to you, because that's important that you respond to those emails. So Aishwarya, could you please raise your hand? Where are you? So Aishwarya, is that Aishwarya? Okay, so Aishwarya is helping us with some logistics pieces as of now. And so just tell us, go to that form, just fill up that form. It will help us. It will help us getting you such more webinars over the year. And this year, we are also planning to start working on CCEUs. As more and more of you are becoming credentialed coaches, your renewals will start coming up in the following years. So we want to start offering you CCEUs for all these sessions, include these kind of sessions. We can offer you CCEUs for such sessions, right? So I want to know what topics are you interested in. At the same time, something that you can help us with is there somebody you feel who can add value to, who can be doing this webinar for us from the external world, right? You're connected to some great person, coach, speaker, or somebody who has an interesting topic to speak on, not for promotional purposes. If they have released a book, I wouldn't really want them to come here to sell their book, but I would really want to hear something different which can help our community to learn. So if you have such ideas, such names, connect us with those people as well, so that over the year we can create their webinars, right? While we are doing our bit in terms of reaching out and figuring out who those people are, it's good to have from you as well, hear from you. So I want this community to get more engaged, and we are trying to figure out how to get engaged more and more. While we have stopped all WhatsApp forwards and make, for some of you, it looks, it's an unhappy moment when you can't forward easily, to the entire groups, but forward it to us. We will help you forward it to the rest of the people. It's much more easier. It's much more comfortable for everyone there, right? How else would you want this year to go by? It's already April coming in. What else? 8 months left now in this year. It's going very fast. So how else would you want this community to work together? I want to hear from you guys. What should happen in this community? We try various stuffs. We try get-togethers. We try these webinars. There are a lot of people who are still not finishing their journey. They have not finished their journey. How to help those people as well? We have tried the LNOB structure. Some of you are in that structure, came in regularly and did something, right? we are Murli, we are looking at any kind of topic, but it has to be related. It cannot be completely outside the whole paradigm, right? Something that helps everyone to learn better. So we are okay with, if you are saying assessment centers, ACDCs, I'm fine if somebody wants to do that session, right? That's still in this paradigm of coaching, leadership, organization development kind of stuff.
Okay, sorry, Rajat. I had something else in mind. See, there are certain people who have done something extraordinary, right? I mean, because, for example, I don't know whether I'll be able to catch that person or not. One of my ex-colleagues, he has done Everest climbing last year, for that matter. So, coincidentally, our organization is also running a development program which is called Find Your Everest. So they kind of take us through, from your place to the base camp, and then help you climb and basically achieve your goals, right?
Sure.
So I was just trying to figure out.
I'm happy to talk to that person, or Arvind will speak to that person as well. Connect us to that person. We would want to hear how and what he will connect the dots to.
Yeah. So that's what I was a little.
Right.
I was a little unsure about how it's connected.
So extraordinary. There are people who run, marathons, 500 kilometers, 1,000 kilometer marathons. Point is, these are extraordinary people who have done something. We would love to hear them, but how do they connect the dots is going to be important as well.
Correct.
Right. So thank you for that. So what else should we be doing this year to create this community much more closer? What else do you think we should be doing?
Vivek here, may I?
Vivek, yes, and then Rekha.
See, I think you've been part of this global ICF forum, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know that while there are local ICF chapters, if you're okay, you can share something from ICF world with all of us.
Okay.
The question I always has been, I'm an ICF member.
Mm.
What else can I get from ICF? How do I get benefit from that?
Okay.
Or that's one part of it. Second is, how is ICF helping me to be a better coach professional? Since while we are a CTD family, it's under the umbrella of, or one umbrella is ICF. I'm not sure you're also part of that Europe thing and whatever.
Sure.
Something from ICF would be of value.
Sure. So thank you for that. And let me give you a quick update. You will start hearing some changes coming up with ICF soon. While the chapter leaders, we met the chapter leaders in Dublin last week, all the global chapter leaders. You will start hearing from the chapter leaders. A mail has gone to all of them across. I'm very sure they will start forwarding stuff to others as well. But the real emails to you will start coming around 17th of April. You will get an email from ICF regarding the changes. But here's the gist of it. And again, let's keep it within this group who's hearing this. As of now, wait for 17th April for getting more clarity. So ICF is basically redesigning itself into 5 entities within ICF. And these are called family organizations. We will basically be making one, basically saying there's this whole members and chapters who will be part of this one entity, one family organization. So we are segregating the whole chapters concept and memberships as one concept. We are then saying there is business, coaching in organizations kind of concept, wherein how are businesses and organizations picking up coaching, and how do we influence them to pick it up more and more, right? How is ICF doing that? While we have been a coach-oriented organization, we want to move into the business or organizational-oriented organization as well now. So there will be a separate entity or a family organization created who will focus and do that bit across the globe going forward. The credentialing will become a separate entity in itself, handled by the separate entity. Accreditation, which is basically who takes care of the approval of coach training programs, will become another entity. And ICF Foundation is already there and existing and will continue to run. And the last one is TLI, Thought Leadership Institute, which is going to be the innovation center, the research center for ICF around coaching. So ICF is not 5, 6 entities are going to get created soon with ICF, and they'll have their own focus areas, and they'll focus deeper into each of their areas going forward. And that's a slight great reshift of the organization itself to create more focus areas in itself and move from being a coach oriented organization to coaching oriented organization. Yeah, it's a very slight difference. One ing is making all the difference here, but it's a very powerful change in terms of coach to coaching as a focus, right? So that's the change coming in. I'm giving you because you're CTT, so hold on till 17th of April before you start telling others about these changes, because we wanted to commit in a structured way to people, and not, people will start questioning it in their own way, saying what is this, why is this, and all the kind of stuff. So just hold on, keep it internally as of now to yourself, and let's wait for 17th April. It's not far off. As members, then will we be able to benefit from these entities? Yes. See, each entity will help ICF grow larger, and it will help you becoming larger as well. The moment till now we focus a lot on members and chapters. There's a lot of focus on that because majority of the time goes there. But then if TLI comes in, there's focus on innovation. There's a separate entity who's doing innovation in coaching, research in coaching, and not the typical research like HCI research that ICF does. It's basically what's next for coaching in the world, and coming out with new models, new thoughts around coaching itself. Coaching in organizations will help you generate more business by default for coaches. If we can influence an Accenture, if we can influence an IBM in terms of coaching credentials, coaching work, and all that kind of stuff, it's going to generate work for coaches, not for ICF, right? So that's the journey. So all of this structure will help you. Credentialing processes, we are going for ISO certification for credentialing in ICF. That will help the process become better, and your companies you will go and proudly say, the process that I went through is ISO process. It's much more stronger than any other entity in the world as a process, how I became credentialed. And that will gain you more benefits from the clients that you are working with in terms of giving you work. So every step that we are trying to take is trying to help you gain more. At the end of the day, it's a non-profit body, right? The intent is to create profits for everyone else. So how do we do that? How do we grow this community? So the social piece is also going to become a big part. The ICF Foundation is also becoming a big part of ICF now. There are like, as of now, 50 Ignite projects. If you have not heard of Ignite projects are projects that are being done with chapters across the globe. And the chapter aligns with NGO or in the education sector or related to education as a concept, and they work along with ICF Foundation to provide coaching or something around coaching to that sector, right? So there are 40, 50 Ignite projects going on. I am now talking to them in terms of, can we have organizations aligning and not just chapters aligning to do Ignite projects? So in a CTT like organization can be associate with ICF Foundation and do an Ignite project. We do so much of NGO work already. Now why don't we get it recognized and get it into a project that works for everyone, right? So that's coming up. Some changes this year that will realign the world of ICF. So I'll keep that in mind as well. Thank you, Vivek. So I'll start sharing more around ICF, what ICF is planning to do as well. Thank you. There was someone else who had raised the hand. Rekha, yes, sorry.
Rajat, I wanted to check if we could have some of the, ICF credential coaches taking webinars for us from other countries, maybe sharing some of their experiences or anything like that. Maybe that could also be very helpful for us from a learning standpoint.
Say it again. What are you expecting? Sorry.
If there are ICF coaches outside India, of maybe what they could share about their experiences, how it works in that part of their country or something like that. It's just a thought which just came in.
That's an interesting thought. So we can definitely start inviting chapter leaders, chapter presidents of other global chapters, and request them to share what's happening in their part of the world.
Yeah, and maybe even sharing their own experiences as well.
Sure, we can ask them questions around those pieces, but the journey could be easily done. Getting chapter presidents to come on and do a webinar for us and helping us understand their work in that area.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Can I?
Yeah.
I wanted to, I would love to see a little bit of what Rekha has already said. I wanted to hear stories about coaches. What was their journey? How did they move from, maybe ACC to PCC to MCC? And what they've learned. That's more important. Like today, what Vivek said was amazing. We were able to completely connect with him. So I would love to hear such kind of stories, because it's into
So when you say such stories from coaches anywhere from the world or our coaches?
anywhere from the world.
Anywhere from the world.
Anywhere. It could be together with what Rekha was suggesting.
Sure. So we can look. So we are looking for journeys of coaches.
Yes.
Their stories,
Yes.
how they have lived that story of being a coach and what has happened for them. Fair enough. Okay. So that's doable again. Because so in our heads, we try to create value. So we discard a lot of stuff in our heads. Right? We think this is too irrelevant or too small to share. Kind of, a story of a coach, big deal. Every one of you is going through a story. Right? So we discard that thought completely and say, let's look for something powerful to give you guys. And we don't then look at these aspects at all. But sure, that is easily doable. Then I don't have to think much. I have enough connects in the globe that I can reach out and simply ask them to present on their stories. I actually, at one point, I started a website called Coach Stories, but that never took off because I didn't know.
Can I steal
Sorry? Sorry?
Can I steal that idea? I said.
No, we can work together again. So the coachstories.com was registered as an official website and everything. I had a Facebook page, but then it didn't have the time and energy to pick it up. So we can start picking it up. We can have video tests. The idea was to create videos around those things, right? Talking to those people. We can pick it up. If you are wanting to pick it up along with us, happy to do that. That adds to the whole profile. Okay. Awesome. Anything else?
So time 8:17.
Thank you, Vivek. But it's been some time since I connected with you guys, so I wanted to talk and hear you guys as well. I want to come more on the sessions as well. It's like life has been practically very hectic, in terms of travel and all. But I promise to come more for these sessions, and we want to. I also want to invite you guys to connect one-to-one, with us. Just reach out. Sushant, I haven't heard from you for ages, right? So I haven't spoken to you for ages. George, again, not spoken. Looking at Vandana, Renuka, again, long time, right? So Anuradha, though I just met very recently. Thank you for coming all the way. So, just keep on pinging. Yes, Anuradha.
So yeah, as you were asking things, so I said, since we've all gone through our various journeys and credentialing at different levels, what I would be really interested if our group or at least CTT, we can come together to facilitate what's next for people. Because many times I think we struggle in terms of saying, okay, like taking on from Vivek's example. So he's been a facilitator, trainer, and now he's a coach. So he's amalgamating his learning and then putting it into his life. So, a person like me, I've been an HR professional, now a coach. So what next? So
I will. Arvind, can you open the Google form, please?
Okay. So I think some of these facilitations for the what next for people, because many a times we struggle with the how. Okay, how am I going to do it? So some guideline there would kind of help.
This was the email that Arvind sent.
Okay.
And this is exactly the question that he had asked in that email. What are you feeling about where you're right now in your journey, and what do you want to do in the next journey? Okay. So if you are not getting emails, please let us know. This is exactly what we wanted to know.
When was this sent? I somehow seem to have missed.
10-11 days back. So we have got only 4 responses till date.
It comes from Rajat's email. Okay. It comes as Rajat as the name.
Okay.
But please check, but it comes from MailChimp. So I don't know whether it gets filtered or whatever, but most of you have got it. Even Aparna just informed she might have not got it, but when I mentioned about MailChimp, she was able to locate it.